Good evening, fencing fanatics. This is Coach Jason here. It's been a little over a week before I could get this out. Sorry about that. But this is episode 3 of our short web series on books that I recommend or don't recommend for the sport of fencing. Today's choice, The Science of Fencing by William Gaugler. Gaugler. No, I'm not really sure how to pronounce that. But anyway, we're stepping backwards a little bit from our last book, which was written in 2002, I believe, to 1997, so not too far back. Maestro Gaugler, sorry, I don't know how to pronounce his name, but this guy, this coach, right, is or was the director of the fencing program at San Jose State University. He actually has a master's diploma from the National Academy of Fencing in Italy, and he was a student of Aldo Nadi. Aldo Nadi, of course, being one of the most decorated Olympic fencing individuals in history. Aldo Nadi was Italian as well. So this book is a little over 400 pages. It is not a short read, but have no fear. Really, only the first 177 cover foil. This is one of those books that covers multiple weapons, so it covers saber and epee as well. So I have a few problems with the book right off the bat. This guy's got a little bit of an ego. There's a 12-page intro. Now, it's not all about him, but he name drops and covers history and Italian fencing out the wazoo. So a 12-page intro is a bit much. He also says in here that, almost quoting verbatim, that this book is the most widely read book of its kind for the time. Okay, I can only take his word for that, right? I certainly did not know about this book in 1997. He also says in this book that there are instructions and there are drills in here and techniques only known to Italian professionals. Okay? And then the last thing is that he purposely omits, he says in the book that he purposely omits anything on electrical fencing because it's unstable. For 1997, I don't think so, but it's constantly fluctuating, I think was the word that he used. So that right off the bat, a couple of problems with the book. The content is pretty much the same. This is a highly technical manual. It's got all the the usual stuff that the other books that I've covered have. There's a couple, 2 or 3 things in here that I find a little strange. He describes the salute in a way that I've never seen this done before. I've never seen it done in competition at nationals, international, whatever. But what he has his students, or at least at the time had his students do, was hold the foil as if it's in a scabbard. So it would be at the right or left hand side. Pull it out, salute, and then come back down. I've never seen anybody do that. It's a little odd. The other thing that he goes into is on the lunge, and he says that in the lunge the back foot acts as a brake. Now, when you're lunging full on and you've got all that momentum going, I don't really see how the back foot can act, how you can adjust it. We do teach here to keep your foot as flat as you can, not to roll up on the knife edge for various reasons. Our fencers tailor it as they get better and more, as they get competent and proficient in what they're doing, but at least at the beginning we teach keep the foot flat. So the foot does drag, but when you're moving forward, I don't see how you can apply more pressure to the back foot to break yourself. Once you're lunging, you're lunging. That's pretty much it. I could be misinterpreting what he's saying, but that terminology and the way he referred to it as a break did kind of strike me as odd. The last thing that he mentioned was that there are 4 simple attacks. Now, we were taught in our certification there were 3 simple attacks, that being the straight attack, the cutover, and the disengage. He includes the glide as a 4th attack. Now, the glide is really nothing more than a straight attack without position. So you come in, or disengage for that matter, or cutover. But you're coming in, you make blade contact, and then you provide opposition to your opponent's blade as you're going towards the target. I believe that's also called the creuset, if I'm saying that right in French. I used to teach that word back when we first started coaching, but I actually asked about that when we were getting coaching certification, and I asked about the glide, and and the instructor said at the time, it's just another form of a straight attack. Good enough for me. So he says there's 4, we say there's 3, but it's just getting a little nitpicky on some stuff. No big deal. So there are some parallels in this book to what we teach here. One really interesting one is the grazing beat. That's something that Coach Jennifer does. We've got video of her using it in competition, and it's where you come up and you're doing a beat, but you graze the blade and come down the other side. It's pretty effective if done right. It's pretty powerful, and it's pretty. It's a good technique if you get the hang of it, because you don't want to go hit too far. You're actually beating the blade in the line you're going into, so you don't want to lock yourself out. So you got to be quick with it. But that's one thing. The other thing he says in there is that the elements of fencing are time, velocity, and measure. We teach exactly the same thing, except with different words. We say time, speed, and distance. The words are interchangeable. When he says measure, he means distance. But honestly, I don't even remember where I got those 3 elements from. I doubt it was from. I'm looking down. I doubt it was from this book. But yeah, we teach that. I mean, we teach that when you've got those 3 elements combined in just the right way, what you're trying to do will work. Should work, right? But if you're heavy on any one of those 3 and deficient in the others, then what you're doing isn't very balanced. Now, some people can't get away with that. Some people can be just super fast. That speed is their element. That's what they want, and they're successful at it. They can care less about distance or time. So, I mean, we're just talking about a generalization here that for the average fencer, especially the average grassroots amateur fencer, you kind of want to have that balance. Chapters 10, 11, and 12, the book gets really interesting because he talks about pedagogy, a little bit about pedagogy, counter offense, like counter times, and actions in time. So those 3 chapters are actually fairly interesting. The rest of the first 177 pages are all synoptic tables. They're find them real quick with this. I'll take a close look at that, but that's pretty much all there is for the rest of it. It's just how to do some drills and things like that. So, do I recommend this book? No. Bet you didn't see that coming. It is not it's not an easy read for a beginner, and it's I think it's got a few too many weird things in it, and I don't mean to be disrespectful when I say that, but I'm looking at this book from modern fencing, and this book is only, 20 years old? 30 years old, 97? Yeah, 23. The fact that he omits electrical fencing and talking about how those rules can even affect your strategy is a little odd to me. So, I can't recommend this for the seasoned fencer or for the new fencer. It's an interesting read to see those differences, but as far as I want to read this to gain more information on what I'm doing with my fencing, not really. It's a little bit too different. I would like to take this opportunity, though, to recommend a different book, and that is On Fencing by Aldo Nadi. Now, I said earlier that this guy was a student of Aldo Nadi. Unfortunately, I do not have that book. I forget who said it, but someone once said, never lend a book, gift it.
It's a gift. Never lend books.
Right, well, I lent that book out up here, and it never got back to me, unfortunately, and that's a tragedy, because that was the first fencing book I ever bought, and it had notes on almost every page in the margins, things circled and underlined, and it's a great, highly technical, if a little bit outdated manual. Very few pictures in it. This is just you read. But Aldo Nadi, again, being one of the most decorated fencers in Olympic history, and his brother as well in Epee, I believe. It's just chock full of strategy. He doesn't really go out of his way to show drills and necessarily techniques. I don't remember there being a glossary in it at all, but he definitely goes into strategy. One of the things we mentioned here when we're teaching about doing actions on blade, I actually got from that book, and it makes sense when you think about it. What he said in the book is that when you're doing a parry or a bead attack, some type of action, some type of striking action on the blade, you want to hit with the corner of the blade in foil, because foil is a square blade, right? So you want to hit with the corner of it. The corner of it, the blade is not likely to flex nearly as much, if at all, as if you're hitting with the flat side of the blade. So when you do that, of course, more energy gets transferred into the weapon that you're hitting. That makes perfect sense, even though nobody actually makes the conscious effort to do that. But we actually teach that here. We say that's why you want to rotate your wrist. When I'm doing a parry for 4 at least, or back to 6, when I'm doing this, or I'm doing a beat attack on the blade, I want to rotate so that I'm pointing that corner toward the opposing blade and trying to hit with it. Again, not making a conscious effort. We don't try to get that detailed here, but reading that and then letting the students know that that's one reason why you're rotating the wrist, it just kind of makes sense. There's tons of stuff like that in that book. So again, I am going to recommend On Fencing. It is a little outdated. I believe it was published in 1955, so circa 1955. And it's not an easy read for kids. It's not an easy read for beginners. But after you've been doing it for a few months or in the season fencer, I definitely recommend that. Get in there and enjoy it. So, but yeah, On Fencing is a great book. Check that out if you can. I believe that's still available on Amazon. I've seen it in bookstores, of the few that remain. But check that out. When he's got a follow-up that the title escapes me right now, but I do have that one. But On Fencing is great. So, hope you enjoyed the episode, and we'll look forward to the next one.